Hello everyone. Somebody posed a question to me the other day, and you'll know who you are. This video is specifically for you. However, the question was such a great question, I thought I would address this and openly explore what the possible answer to this question might be. And the question is, what is the purpose of Qigong? I thought that was a wonderful, wonderful question. So I'd like to attempt to offer my thoughts on the subject and feelings. Everybody approaches the practice of Qigong for their own personal reasons. Some of those reasons may be because people feel stressed, they want to work out how to let go of the unnecessary stress and tension that we might accumulate from day to day. For other people, they may be recovering from illness or injury. For other people, there may be a deeper purpose behind it, potentially the cultivation of a powerful method of meditation, of mental and emotional centering, and also potentially, if we are going to mention the S word, a spiritual method of self-cultivation and development. So, for me, I'd like to describe for me what there are a multitude of purposes. So it's a very common thing in Chinese medical tradition for things to be based upon the elements. That is earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, if you like. Now, for me, the earth, the purpose of training in Qigong in relation to the element of earth is about developing a better awareness, a more keen awareness of how we hold the structure of the bones of the body and the flesh of the body. So how much tension are we carrying within the muscles? If we can recognize what we've been carrying, then we have an opportunity to let it go. So I say often to people, how can we possibly let go of something if we don't even know we're carrying it? But if we can become aware of the tension we may have been carrying in the flesh of the body, or maybe potential misalignments. So within my own body, I know that where the work is largely my left shoulder is higher than my right. Sometimes in the past, more particularly in the past, my head has been off to one side, my neck. So I need to address these things. Sometimes people would favor putting the weight on one leg and the hip sticking out and locking the knees. These are habits we get into. And part of the process and the purpose on an earthly level in the practice of Qigong is to understand how to tune in more finely to those potential misalignments, to spot them so that we can then correct those misalignments, to identify the unnecessary tensions in the flesh of the body so we can release them. So that's the earth element. The water element really relates to the emotions, the flow of blood through the body. Now, the purpose in relation to the element of water, for me, is about harmonizing and centering one's emotional self. Not being all over the place emotionally. Equally, not being too static, but having a vibrant, passionate emotional energy which serves us rather than us serving it. So, also when we practice Qigong, the blood circulates more fully and freely to the extremities of the body, to the fingertips and the palms, to the feet, the toes, to the top of the crown and so on. So there's a purpose for me emotionally and in terms of the circulation of the blood in the body. That relates to the element of water. Now, with the element of air, the purpose of Qigong is to cultivate a relationship with the air that we breathe. Some of the more mystically inclined Taoist priests believe that the air we breathe is a being in its own right, and we live in a symbiotic relationship with it. We live in it like fish live in the sea, and it lives in us. That's why we are alive. We can survive without food or water for a certain amount of time, but air, forget it. We're alive because of the air which is in us. So, developing a relationship where we interact respectfully with the being of the air as we sip the air, and when we allow the breath to escape rather than forcefully evicting it. There are methods that do focus on this, but for me, I prefer the natural methods, the natural breathing methods. So, in relation to the element of air, the purpose of Qigong for me is to develop a loving, respectful, appreciative relationship with the being of the air, and to interact with it through the practice and develop a loving relationship with it, and with the lungs within the body, and the oxygen that flows through the blood to the extremities. All of these things are worthy of contemplation, in my opinion. So we have earth, water, air, now fire. The fire is the intent, the intention, our mental focus, the energy of the qi of the body. Our mental focus is really important. So on one level, the purpose in terms of the mental focus of the practice is about harmonizing the way I utilize my mind and my thoughts. What kind of a dialogue am I speaking from myself towards myself, and about the world around me and the life that I'm interacting with. Centering oneself mentally, that's a purpose of the practice of Qigong. Now, in terms of the S word, spirit, it depends on the individual, and this means totally different things to different people. For me personally, I believe that everything is alive, everything is sacred in its own right. And for me, the purpose of Qigong on a spiritual level is to become more and more attuned to the sacred nature of all life. Now, I could wax lyrical about this, but I'm not really going to do that, because I want to encourage you to think about what potentially the practice can become for you on a spiritual level, about developing oneself, one's intrinsic energies, so that we become attuned more to nature and to the spirit of life itself. These things really, really fascinate me. They make sense to me. The principles of this are well worthy of contemplation, whether or not you practice Qigong. But if you do, and you contemplate these things from moment to moment, from breath to breath, within your practice, it will enrich and vivify your experience of the purpose of Qigong. Anyway, I hope you find this thought-provoking, enjoyable. Please do like and subscribe to my channel, and share, if you like this video, share it with your social media. All help is greatly appreciated, and I wish you all a wonderful Qigong practice.